What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another podcast on the Sports Talk with Hawk Show. How we doing this wonderful afternoon? It is a Monday, and hopefully you didn't have a bad case of the Mondays, but that it went okay for you as we head into another week. So let's get to some of the news that happened over the weekend. I may not, by the time this releases, I may not have all the updated news with all the updated contracts, but let's go over the two that I get, but I think you're seeing what the scouts believe about the 2025 and 2026 quarterback draft out of college. So Jordan Love gets a 4-year, $220 million deal. Here's the problem, okay? I like Jordan Love. I don't love. I like Jordan Love. He sucked the first half of the year. He had 1.5 year of a good season. They gave him a new contract at the beginning of last season to be able to say, you're the starter, go show us why we should sign you. He sucked. After from Thanksgiving on, he was good. But that's all it takes now? Half a year and you're going to get $220 million? One half. Half a good year and you get paid. Then on the other side, you've got Tua. Everybody knows he is not an NFL quarterback. Everybody knows. You paid him $212 million. For me, that speaks volumes of what the Dolphins scouting department thinks about the NFL draft. The prospects coming out at the quarterback position. Really, this is where I think you find out that they don't believe there's NFL-ready quarterbacks. Quinn Ewers, Dylan Gabriel, Shadur Sanders, Riley Leonard. Can't remember his name now when I'm trying to think about it, but the quarterback that transferred from Ohio State to Syracuse. They don't think they're going to be NFL ready. If they did, they'd feel a lot more comfortable not having to sign Tua or Jordan Love to a max deal right now. Jordan Love doesn't deserve it. Tua doesn't deserve it. What they're banking on is the money from the media rights deal and the money in the NFL and the salary cap to continue going up. That way, the gap shrinks. So let's say the salary cap goes up by $10 million next year, okay? If that's the case, you're now paying Jordan Love, in a sense, $44 million a year, or $47 million a year, not $57, because now you're saving that $10 million is what you're expecting to just go to them. So you're expecting the salary cap to go up. It's a dangerous game. For Green Bay, it's okay. They're not paying anybody right now. In 4 years, they're going to have to pay some players. And Jordan's going to have to really be worth the money they spent. Miami, this is a stupid move. Between Waddle, Hill, and Tua, a huge percentage of your cap is now gone. You have very little defense, as we saw in the depth charts when it ran through the Dolphins. You have very little defense. You know they're going to have to get rid of Jalen Ramsey. He may be a trade deadline trade, depending on what their record is. Really, that's where we're at now. He could be a deadline trading piece. It doesn't look great. And these quarterbacks that don't deserve contracts get contracts. Deshaun Watson was number 1. Got a fully guaranteed deal. Jordan Love is pretty dang close, not going to lie. But if they play, everything's obviously a moot point. Miami, though, I don't see Miami competing now for the next 4 years. Yeah, they'll be in games. Yeah, in the summertime, they're going to look like the greatest show on turf. Oh, well. Come playoff time, you've got a quarterback that can't perform. Legitimately cannot perform. That playoff game against Kansas City showed everything about the belief in Tua. He's not good. He's serviceable. Jameis Winston won games with Bruce Arians' shoot-it-out offense. Jameis Winston was above 500 with Bruce Arians. He's a backup. Yeah, I'm comparing Jameis Winston and Tua Tagovailoa. I think Tua is obviously a lot more accurate. Jameis has definitely got the stronger arm. But neither one of them have the quarterback moxie to win you football games when you need a win. Tua can't play against Buffalo. He can't play in the playoffs. So, Miami, I think, made a horrible decision. Green Bay, I understand it. They locked up their quarterback for the next 4 years. A little expensive, but they can afford it. And with how Rodgers and Favre and the quarterback turmoil that they see other teams go through, they decided, hey, let's run with this. Hopefully LaFleur can keep working his magic. All right, let's jump into this, everybody. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so we're going to kick off the depth charts. This is the second half of the NFC East. We got the Cowboys. We got the Eagles. Here we go. So we're going to start it out. We got Dak Prescott as number 1. Trey Lance as number 2 currently. Cooper Rush as number 3. For the running backs, we got Ezekiel Elliott, Rico Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn, and Royce Freeman. For the receivers, we got CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks, Jalen Tolbert. Then behind them, we got Jalen Brooks, Kevontae Turpin, Ryan Flournoy, Racey McMath, Jalen Monroe Cooper, and Tyrone Billy Johnson. TBJ. Man, I hope he makes the team. That would be one heck of a name to be able to say when you're doing it. TBJ. I mean, OBJ kind of took care of everything else, but TBJ. Here we go. Tyrone Billy Johnson. Sounds pretty dang good, not going to lie. But that is your Cowboys depth chart at receiver. Honestly, Jalen Tolbert, he's an okay slot. You got to hope that Brandon Cook stays healthy. CeeDee Lamb definitely deserves to be paid. Dak Prescott does not. Does not. But since Jordan and Tua both signed the contracts they did, a 4-year, $220 million contract is probably what you're looking at for Dak. But it's going to be the same. You're paying for a quarterback who can't win. Doesn't show up in the playoffs. Doesn't show up in big games. So, there's that. All right, the tight ends this year, Jake Ferguson, Luke Schumacher, Peyton Hendershot. That's a good 3 tight end set right there. That's a good goal line set. Each one of them can catch. Each one of them can block. I like the way that they're set up there. Hunter Lumpke, or Lupke, Lupke is the fullback. And then we get to the offensive line. This is where the question marks are going to be this year. You got Tyler Guyton at left tackle. You've got Tyler Smith at left guard. Zach Martin is at right guard, and Terrence Steele is at right tackle. The center is Brock Hoffman. Then your second string, you got Chuma Aduga, longtime pro, at tackle. You got Matt Okay, it is an interesting name. I'm going to say Whitesco, just because I don't want to ruin it that badly. You got Jason Ball and TJ Bass at guards. And then you got Cooper Beebe as your backup center. If the Dallas offensive line can protect Dak, I can see them winning 7-8 games. Here's what I don't see. I don't see a running game coming out of the Cowboys. Ezekiel Elliott, Dowdle, Deuce Vaughn. Now, Deuce Vaughn is quick. There is part of me that thinks if they're smart, they're going to run a lot of toss sweeps with Deuce, try to get him on the edge and see what they can do. But Ezekiel Elliott, come on. Dalvin Cook is still unsigned. Go get him. Make a trade. Do something to get yourself a running back that's capable of being a workhorse on this offense. All right. The Cowboys run a base 43 defense, and this is what it looks like. Not nearly as glamorous as last year. We got DeMarcus Lawrence at the left end side. We got Mozzie Smith, whom I do like, at defensive tackle. We got Osa Adingwaze, or Dingzua, however you want to say it. He is the other defensive tackle. We got Micah Parsons as the right end / fourth linebacker. Let's just be honest. They don't have much depth behind them. Chauncey Goldston, Carl Davis Jr., those are your two defensive tackle backups. You got Marshawn Nealon and Sam Williams backing up your defensive ends. Honestly, not much. There's really not a second string. There's not a guy you can bring in, like a third down rushing option. There's really nobody that jumps off there. You're looking at your linebackers, Eric Kendricks, which was a huge pickup for them. I think that one's actually going to be huge. You got Damone Clark. Buddy Johnson's the backup to there. Jason Johnson's the backup on third string. The backup middle linebacker is Marquise Bell and Damian Wilson backing up on third string. And then you got Maurice Luafua and DeMarco Overshawn. Those are your strong linebacker spots. Honestly, it's a weak position. I think they're going to be attacked a lot when they're in a 3 linebacker set, so I think it will end up being a majority of a nickel defense again. Duron Bland with Garyon Conley backing him up. Donovan Williams with Israel Mukamu backing him up. Malik Hooker with Jure Thomas. Trayvon Diggs with Nashawn Wright. Jordan Lewis with Kalen Carson, the rookie, backing him up. The secondary is pretty good. The front 4, 3 of them I like. Mozzie Smith, the rookie, DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. Obviously, with Lawrence and Parsons, you always have a shot if they can get to the quarterback, so I'm not going to bang on it too much. Linebackers, I think, aren't really the strongest. I like the pickup for Kendricks because it's somebody who's used to playing, used to calling plays, used to being the leader. I don't know if he's got as much energy to be able to put put the team on his back leadership-wise, I think it's going to have to be Lawrence and Parsons. The secondary, though, secondary is serviceable. They don't have Gilmore back there, but Deron Bland, Donovan Wilson, Malik Hooker, Trayvon Diggs, Jordan Lewis, that's a nickel set that is very, very comparable. Very, very competitive. Can definitely take a lot of the passing lanes out and maybe give time for Lawrence and Parsons to get to the quarterback. Brandon Aubrey is your kicker, and Brian Anger is your punter. So that is the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the other team that we have left is the Philadelphia Eagles. A team that really last year just dropped the ball. I do not like Sirianni. I didn't like him when he was in Indianapolis as an offensive coordinator. I don't like Shane Steichen just as much. These Philadelphia guys have too much attitude. They're not humble enough. Frank Reich was a Buffalo guy. Yes, I know he was with Doug Peterson, but Frank Reich was a Buffalo guy. The guy knew how to be able to do certain things, just didn't translate very well as the message got older. He couldn't change it or tweak it enough to mean something new. He lost the newness of the message. That's an issue that he has. Do I think he should have been fired from Carolina? Heck no, that team wasn't supposed to win anything. But nonetheless. All right, so the Philadelphia Eagles, here we go. The starting quarterbacks, they actually got 4 right now. Jalen Hurts, Kenny Pickett, Tanner McGee, and Will Grier. That is your 4 quarterbacks currently sitting on the depth chart in the roster. The running backs, Saquon Barkley, Kenneth Gainwell, Will Shipley, Lou Nichols. 4 running backs. Now, my favorite in there is Will Shipley. I really believe Will Shipley is going to be the dark horse. I loved watching him at Clemson. I don't know why people weren't more excited about him. He's a Kevin Falk type of running back. He can block. He can catch. He can run. Do I think he's a number 1 back? No. Do I think he could be the best second back in the league? Absolutely. Well, maybe not. You got David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs up in Detroit. So maybe not the best second back. But he can be a top 5 second back because he can do everything. He's technically sound, very smart. I love Will Shipley. The pickup for Philadelphia with Will Shipley I thought was fantastic. Saquon Barkley signing him from an in-division rival is just that's a Howie move right there. And kudos to them for being able to do it. Lord knows the Colts didn't do it back in the day when they should have with people that left the Jags or left the Titans. So, nonetheless. All right, let's get to the receivers. So you got A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. We know about them. Paris Campbell is currently slotted as the 3rd. He's going to be the slot receiver. Doubtful. He can never stay healthy. Let's see here. Then we got John Ross. Also can't stay healthy. Let's see. We got Covey. We got Jacob Harris. Joseph Nada. And Anais Smith. Those are your receivers. Honestly, really, all of them struggle with injuries. Brown struggles with injuries. Devontae struggles with some injuries. Paris is always injured. Colts had him. He was supposed to be the speed gun slot guy that we had been looking for a long time. That didn't happen. John Ross has always been injured. I think the receiver core, their success is going to be truthfully determined by the healthiness of A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. If they're not healthy, I don't see guys being able to really step up behind them. It's going to be a heavy reliance on Saquon Barkley. All right, the tight ends, Dallas Goedert, CJ Uzomah, Grant Cal, hang on, let me, Cal Cat, Grant Cal Quintera. Grant Calcantara. Okay. Well, all right. Works for me. Grant Calcantara. Those are your three tight ends. Sorry. I'm trying to get the names right. I'm trying. I don't want to butcher them. However, the more and more these people have these interesting last names, gosh darn, makes it hard for people like me. But nonetheless, then you got your offensive line. Now, they lost a huge piece of their offensive line. They lost Jason Kelce. That's not easy to lose. Their offensive line is, it's not bad, okay? So you look at your guards. Let's just look at the guards for a second. Landon Dickerson on the left, Tyler Steen on the right. Not bad. Your backup right now is Mekhi Becton on the right tackle position, backing up Lane Johnson. Okay? The new center is Cam Jurgens with Dylan McMahon backing him up. That's the part where I think you're going to struggle. The question is, can Cam Jurgens, say that 10 times fast, can Cam really pick up on this offense? Pick up on the blocks? Jason Kelce made the quote-unquote tush push. He was the catalyst for it. Without him, does it stay effective? Because I tell you what, if it doesn't, Sirianni is going to have a lot of trouble competing in games because he had so many fourth down continuations last year. It helped them win games early, and then he was still converting some and losing games late. It is what it is. But I'm not so sure that it's actually going to work out the way they hope it does. Kelce was a professional center. He knew how to play football. He was too smart with how he played football. Now, the defensive side of the ball, this is going to be a little bit interesting. This is what they've switched to. They've gone to a 34 defense. I don't get this move. I do not get this move. So here's your front. Milton Williams. Yeah, I know. Never heard of him. You're good. It's okay. Don't worry. You're not the only one. Jordan Davis. Jalen Carter. That's your front three. Bryce Huff and Josh Sweat are now weak side linebackers. You got Jeremiah Trotter Jr., who they drafted, Nakobe Dean as your two second middle linebackers. You got Devin White, who is going to be your main linebacker with the headset. Oren Burks is backing him up. Nolan Smith Jr. is your strong side linebacker with Zach Bond. Moving to a 34. Here's what happens when you move to a 34. Jalen Carter and Jordan Davis are very, very good, but they're both two gap guys. They are both your old-fashioned Warren Sapp, Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald was able to play in a 34, But even they moved away from the 34 into a 43 with Raheem Morris. Staley liked the 34. Morris liked the 43, and in the 43 really, really gave Aaron the ability, like he was triple teamed and everybody else was getting sacks. It helped the team. To move to a 34, the new defense, my question is, do you just go after Huff? Get Huff in coverage. Get Huff in zone coverage. Get Josh Sweat in zone coverage. Go after him. Make them figure out how to actually play football on the defensive side of the ball. Make them figure out how to cover. Your secondary, they had to really work on the secondary, and my gosh, did they ever. Quinion Mitchell, QB1. James Bradbury, his backup. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the safety. Reed Blankenship, the free safety. I like their safeties. Not going to lie. I really like their safeties. I like the way that the Eagles drafted here. Darius Slay Jr. and Avonte Maddox with Isaiah Rodgers, Cooper DeJean backing them up. Tristan McCollum, Sidney Brown, also backups in the secondary. Their secondary, they revamped their entire secondary. It's going to be a lot like, it's going to be somewhat like the Rams. Give them till Thanksgiving, though. I think it's going to be a lot like the Rams of last year. But because of Slay and Avonte Maddox, I think they got enough experience, enough veterans there to be able to help. They got James Bradbury, Cooper DeJean, Quinion Mitchell. Oh my gosh. Those two are going to end up being the future of the Eagles secondary. DeJean is definitely the slot guy. They can play him at safety. They can play him at slot. He is a utility knife. I wanted DeJean on the Colts. I wanted DeJean on the Colts so badly to help our secondary because our secondary sucks. And when we go through the depth chart, I will complain a lot more about it. But nonetheless, the Eagles drafting has set the Eagles up for the future. On paper, this team isn't bad. On paper, this team wins the division. I have them winning 10 games right now. Like I said, my official predictions will be that last week of training camp heading into the Thursday night game. So I don't have my official predictions yet. But right now, this team can win 10 games. It can win the division. It may even be able to go 11-6. But I think their linebacking core is the weakest part. I think their linebackers are weak, which really makes it hard, especially when you've got a division that is going to be very focused on tight ends. Zach Ertz is now in Washington. Remember, Ben Sano backing him up. If I remember correctly. Daniel Jones, we know tight ends, it's all he can throw to is tight ends and backs. That's who attacks the linebackers. Can they cover the tight ends and the backside of the backfield? Can this defense cover Austin Eckler out of the backfield? Can this team cover Brian Robinson Jr. out of the backfield? Can it cover Devin Singletary? Deuce Vaughn? Like this defense, you got to ask the question, can the linebacking core hold up? I think their corners and their secondary will be okay. They may get beat early. I don't think they're going to get beat later in the year. They may get beat early. But the question is going to be that linebacking. That's where the question is. You got Jake Elliott as your kicker and Brandon Mann as your punter. So there you go, guys. the second half of the NFC East. There it is. As we inch closer and closer to the season, we are in the final week of July now, believe it or not. Hall of Fame game is coming up. It's football. Football is back. The different contract negotiations, the holdouts, like I said, this video is recorded before the weekend was over. So if there's any other news, we'll get to it on the Wednesday podcast. On Wednesday, we are going to start the NFC North and going down the depth charts in the NFC North. Guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and ring that notification bell to get notified every time a podcast is released. It is a Monday. We're heading into Tuesday. Have an absolutely great evening. And until next time, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.